class, it's Mrs. Rook here. Today we are going to look at some multiplication problems in the context of real world word problems. Try saying that 5 times. Real world word problems. It's difficult. At any rate, the reason we do this is so that you can see how multiplication is going to be used in your everyday life, because it comes up quite a bit. And we have some sample problems on the screen. And what you'll notice is that these sample problems are going to be just like the problems that you're going to be asked to do independently for homework when you're done looking at this lesson today. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to use what we reviewed yesterday in that fun interactive Desmos activity where we were thinking of multiplication as groups of a repeated amount. And then we're also going to be using our multiplication facts, which we have worked so hard to commit to memory, to solve these problems. So let's read the first one together. It says, to get to the bird zoo from the school, the kids have to ride some buses. If there are 7 buses and each bus has 3 adult supervisors to guide the children, how many supervisors are there in total? So let's talk about what we learned yesterday with multiplication being repeated addition of so many groups. Notice I'm pulling down a color here because I'm going to do some typing so I can type out the problems that we create. We have how many groups here? Well, our groups are buses. So we have 7 buses. So we're going to type a 7. And how many people are in each of these buses, which are our groups? There are 3, right? So the multiplication problem would be 7 times 3. And either thinking about repeated addition of 7 plus 7 plus 7, or using our multiplication facts. What do we know 7 times 3 is? It's 21, right? Very good. So there are 21 supervisors to help guide these children as they take their trip to the bird zoo. Okay, question 2. If each bus has 9 rows of seats and each row can accommodate 4 children, how many children can each bus accommodate? So the word accommodate, if you haven't heard that before, in this particular case, it would mean house or how many students can fit in each of those rows. So accommodate, yeah, it often means fit or suit something. Okay, so let's talk about our groups here. Our groups are now the rows. And how many rows are there? Right, there are 9. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to pull down and change the color to red just so we set it apart. And so we have 9. And then how many repeated elements or children in this case are in each of those 9 rows? 4, right? So we have 9 times 4. There's so many different ways that you can do this too. You can use your multiplication facts and think about what 9 times 4 is. You can do repeated addition, right? You could do 9 plus 9. And when you do 9 plus 9, you get 18. And you can keep adding the 9s, or you could say, hey, since 9 plus 9 is 18 and I need 4 of those 9s, all I got to do is double 18. So many different mental shortcuts you can use here. But what would be the total number of children on each bus using any of those ways? 36, right? Okay, let's come down to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and change my color to red right away, so I'm ready to go. At the bird zoo, the kids were able to visit 5 different bird cages, each containing 8 different kinds of birds. The cages are 14 feet tall. How many different kinds of birds did the children see in the bird cages? Now, this is an interesting problem because so far, all of the multiplication problems we have done just involve 2 numbers. This one has 3. I want you to tell me out loud, even though I'm not going to be able to hear you, what numbers are important to solving the multiplication problem here? What is that multiplication asking? That multiplication problem is asking how many different kinds of birds did the children see in the bird cages? So what numbers do we need to use to solve that problem that they are asking? I'm hoping you said 5. You need to know how many bird cages there are. And 8, because that's the number of birds in each cage. So you need groups times the amount. Our groups are 5 cages, and the amount in each is 8. So that would give us 5 times 8. And using your multiplication properties, what would you get? Yes, you would get 40 birds. So we didn't need to know how tall each of those cages were. That's what we call extra information. And sometimes you need to be able to weed that out so that you can really focus in on what the important information is in a problem. That's a great skill to develop. Let's go to number 4. At the back of the zoo is a mountain where the birds can roam free in a natural habitat. The children saw 6 types of eagles living on each section of the mountain. If the mountain has 3 sections, how many types of eagles did the children see in total? What are our groups here? And then what is repeating? Our groups are the sections, right? Those 3 mountain sections. And then what's repeating are the 6 types of eagles. So we will have 3 times 6, and using our multiplication of either repeating 3 6 times or saying, hey, I know that 3 plus 3 is 6, and then if I just do that 3 times, I'll get the same thing just using your number sense. Any of those are great ways, or if you just want to repeat, that's fine. How many total types of eagles do they see? 18, right? Very good. And we will highlight that in red. Oops. And we will move on to our last example. Their last stop before leaving the zoo is the Bird Museum. There they went through 7 bird exhibits, spending 9 minutes going around each exhibit. Write an equation to calculate how much time they spent going through the museum. You know what? Every single problem that we have typed out here is an equation. So equation is just the formula that you use to find an answer. Now, oftentimes what we will do is we will put a letter to represent what we're trying to find. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to find it, but we're going to put a T for time. So let's make sure my color's in red to start out. And I'm actually going to type down on this line. So T, the time should equal what? How do we find our total time? Well, we need to know what our groups are and then what's repeating. Well, the groups here are referring to the bird exhibits, and there are 7 of those. And how much time did they spend in each of those? 9 minutes, right? So we're going to have 7 times 9. Now that's the equation. That's the equation or formula that would help us to figure out time, which is represented by T. Using our multiplication facts, we know that 7 times 9 is how many minutes here? Is that what it is? Yes, it's going to be a total of 63 minutes. Now here's a bonus for you. If we were to change that to hours and leftover minutes, what would it be? You know that 60 minutes is in an hour, right? So that would be 1 hour, and then how many leftover minutes? 3 minutes, right? That's just a little extension. All right, boys and girls, good job paying attention. Use this example, which I'm hoping you took, wrote these answers on the worksheet that I also put in your Google Classroom that matches it. You can use that as a guide to complete word problems that look just like this in your homework assignment. Bye.